What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Before I get into this video, as always, I want to remind you guys that if you are looking at this video and watching this channel, you're not subscribed to Too Raw for TV, please subscribe to Too Raw for TV. Also, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that bell that you see on your screen to be notified of any video as soon as it drops on this channel. And also, if you appreciate and like the content of this channel, please press the like button. YouTube has certain features now in the algorithm which are designed to suppress the smaller channels, and this will help not only my video and channels, but if you also do this for other channels in the LDBC, that'll make the LDBC even stronger. Now, I want to talk about Zion Williamson. Okay, recently it was announced by the New Orleans Pelicans that Zion Williamson is experiencing some knee soreness, I believe it is. Not anything serious, but he has experienced some issues with his knees. And this brings back the debate about whether or not Zion Williamson is carrying too much weight. You know, that always was one of the question marks surrounding his selection, you know, as number one overall pick. And do I think that he's carrying too much weight? My original opinion of it was that maybe this will not hurt him in the short term, but in the long term. And I was thinking more like around age 25, his mid-20s and onward. Yes, he should consider losing some weight at that time. But now that he's seemed to be experiencing issues with his, knees and what have you already, yeah. And the way that his game is predicated on athleticism, explosiveness, he probably would like to, if it's his body, does what he want to do. But he probably should lose some weight. Right now, because he's young, it doesn't have to be a lot of weight to me. I think, in all honesty, him just shedding 10 pounds right now would help. If he was to drop down, if he's 285, if he was to drop down to 275 right now, that would help him out as far as with his knee issues. Sometimes just a little bit of excess weight lost can help your knees and alleviate some of these minor issues before they become major issues. One thing I do notice about Zion, he's not overweight or fat by any stretch of the imagination, but from looking at him, he appears to probably be a person who, and I'm not saying this to be critical because I can crush. So this is not anything that's critical at all. I'm just saying this just from observation. He appears to be a person that probably eats kind of a fatty diet. He stays. I can tell he stays in shape because he's young and he's active. But it looks like he probably has a fatty diet. He probably eats a lot of junk, or some junk. Probably eats healthy to an extent, but he probably eats a little junk. As he gets older, he might have to modify his diet. Like, he can get away with it now because he's younger, but as he gets older, might want to modify his diet, whatever. But yeah, he probably should lose some weight. Maybe right now, 10 pounds. As he gets older, more so. Probably by the time he's like in his fourth or fifth season, he may want to be down to about 265 at least from what his draft weight is. Because I think 285 in the long term is just too much weight for a guy like him to be carrying around. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's 285 now at age 19, at the rate that his body's growing now, he's going to have to be over 300 pounds by the time he's like 22, 23 years old. It's just like Shaquille O'Neal, who carried his weight well. His weight never really hindered his play. You could argue that his weight gain over the years might have hurt him on the defensive end and made him a little bit less mobile in the paint. As far as his defense is concerned, it might have made him a little bit less springier, so it kind of hurt his rebounding a little bit. But his weight never hurt him. Shaq always said that he put on weight and gained weight to be able to deal with all the pounding that he was taking in the paint. But Shaq, his rookie year, well, Shaq in college was 285. Shaq was 285 in college, but Shaq was 7 feet tall. 7'1" in shoes, okay, the way they used to measure guys until this year. His rookie year, Shaq was 296. By his last year in Orlando, I think Shaq was about 315, 320. And in his Lakers heyday, Shaq was about he was listed 340, but Shaq could be as high as 370, 380 sometimes at the beginning of training camp. So, like I said, but the difference between Shaq and a guy like Zion Williamson, Shaq is a post player. Post players are usually just naturally bigger than a guy like Zion Williamson, and they're not as physically active, I guess, on the court as a guy like Zion Williamson. You know what I'm saying? They're not, flying from the free throw line or doing all these incredible things that we as fans marvel at, but it's taxing on the body in the long term. So, because we think about it, I'm trying to think of guys who were physical phenoms but were big. Charles Barkley is the natural comparison, but we have to remember that Charles was not as naturally big as Zion. And by that I mean, when Charles came to the league, he was 300 pounds, but he was obviously kind of fat. You know what I'm saying? Under the tutelage of Moses Malone, Charles Barkley slowly lost weight. You know what I'm saying? I think he came into the NBA at training camp about 300 pounds, slimmed down to about 280, I think, by his second year. And then gradually, Charles, for the most part in his career, played about 250. Now, by his Rockets years, he started getting a little heavier, 265, 270. But for the most part, he had shed all that excess weight. And that is partially one of the reasons why I think Charles Barkley was able to play for 16 seasons in the NBA, as opposed to maybe like 8 or 9 seasons if he had stayed at 300 pounds. Charles Barkley had wanted to just average. He said that his goal for his career when he came into the NBA was to average just a double-double. He wanted that. Well, he said he wanted to average 10 rebounds. I guess he never dreamed that he would average 23 points and almost 12 rebounds for his career. So that's that. So in the long run, I can't really think of anybody with his size and athleticism who had a long career. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody with the combination of his athleticism plus that sheer size. Larry Johnson was phenomenal when he first came to the NBA. But Larry Johnson was what, 6'7", 265, I guess. Small forward / power forward. But Larry Johnson, by his second year, started having back issues. And Larry Johnson, although he went on to play for almost a decade, he never was the same player. And he had retired prematurely at 33, 32? I think he was 32 years old and he had retired. Larry Johnson should have played a couple of more years. So the thing about it, don't make it for long in the NBA. And not just weight. Think about this for a second, guys. How many NBA players can we think of that were over 7'2" that had a very long and distinguished career? Now, Yao Ming had some great years, but eventually structural issues with his legs, especially his lower legs, feet, knees, whatever, started affecting him. He had to retire prematurely. The same thing to go with a Ralph Sampson, who was 7'4". Now Sean Bradley was able to do something, but he never materialized the player that people thought he was going to be, and he had some injury issues for certain stretches of his career. He was 7'6". The same thing with George Murison. Injuries ended his career prematurely, and kind of the similar things to with Manute Bol. One of the few players I can think of off the top of my head that was over 7'2" that had a somewhat lengthy career, and I think he played for 9 or 10 seasons, was Mark Eaton. He was 7'4", and he was 300 pounds, 275 to 300 pounds. But for the most part, it's like 7'2" is a cutoff. Once you have a guy that's over that height, there's always this high risk for long-term structural issues with the lower legs. Just to have to carry that type of frame and weight up and down the court, night in and night out, game in and game out, season after season, takes a terrible toll. That's why a lot of people are kind of precarious about the long-term chances of a guy like Taco Fall. Now, I got to say this. The historian in me has to bring this up. I've become quite irritated at ESPN constantly blathering about whether Zion Williamson can have the greatest rookie year ever. That type of shit pisses off a historian like myself. To no ends and bounds, it just pisses me off. It's not because I'm hating on Zion Williamson. Nigga hating on Zion Williamson. Man, nigga always hating, man. Too raw hating ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? Nigga always hating on the young man. Always living in the fucking past. No, I'm not fucking hating on Zion Williamson. You're hating on the legends. People you don't know shit about. So shut your motherfucking mouth. If they were to say Zion Williamson, can he have the greatest rookie season since LeBron James? That's awesome. I have no quarrels with that. But to say ever is kind of, look, there's been some rookies that have done some phenomenal things in the history of the NBA. All right, Magic Johnson, let's take him for a second. Magic Johnson's rookie year averaged like 18 points. Now, look, most of us, when I ask my subscribers this, most of my subscribers are sort of predicting that Zion may average between 18 to 20 points, maybe 7, 8, 9 rebounds, maybe 3, 4 assists, and maybe they can, if they're lucky, Mike can get an 8 seed push, right? Maybe. That seems to be the consensus. If he does better than that individually, hey, all power to it. But me personally, I think he's going to average like 28 and 4. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, somewhere in that range, right? Take Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, his rookie year, averaged 18 points, over 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Now, keep in mind, for those who don't know or forgotten, he was sharing the backcourt with Norm Nixon. So Magic was actually the shooting guard. You know what I'm saying? So he still averaged 7 assists. And he won an NBA championship his rookie year. He was the finals MVP. He was pivotal in a game 6 when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was gone. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was out. And it looked like the series was for the Sixers to take. And Magic played center. He played at the center position, a backcourt guy. Outstarted at center. He had 42 points, like 15 rebounds, 7 assists. One-man wrecking crew, won a championship. His rookie year. Larry Bird, his team, I mean not his teammate, but his soulmate since then, right? But bitter rivals back then. Larry Bird orchestrated a 32-game turnaround for the Boston Celtics, the biggest turnaround, in NBA history at the time. I think he averaged like 21 points, 10 rebounds, like +4 assists per game, almost 2 steals. Shot 41% from the three-point range. The first year the three-point line was instituted in the NBA, that was phenomenal back then. That's like a guy shooting 60% from three now. And won Rookie of the Year. How about Elvin Hayes? Elvin Hayes, his rookie year, led the NBA in scoring. 28.4 points per game to go along with 17 rebounds. The same season, Wes Unseld, who would later on team up with Elvin Hayes to make one of the greatest front courts in NBA history. Wes Unseld, his rookie year, I think he averaged like 13 or 14 points, 18 rebounds. He turned around the Baltimore Bullets at the time, the Baltimore Bullets. He turned around that franchise. They won 19 more games than they won the year prior. And Wes Unseld, as a rookie, won MVP, league MVP as a rookie. Do you understand how much hype he would get now if he had done that now? Wes Unseld, who also had to retire a little bit prematurely because he was a little bit big. Wes Unseld played the center position, but he was 6'7", may have been really closer to 6'6", but playing the center position, and he was about 280, probably like, he was listed as 265, but Unseld probably was like 285. So kind of, now that I think about it, Wes Unseld kind of had a frame like Zion Williamson, but he played center position and had a tremendous center of gravity, so he could really like just box people out. I mean, he was just bullying people down there. 6'6", 6'7", 285, but had suffered with terrible knee issues probably the last 5 or 6 years of his career. All right. Other great rookie campaigns. David Robinson for the San Antonio Spurs. He averaged 24 points, 12 rebounds, like 2 steals, like 2 assists, 4 blocks per game his rookie year. Orchestrated a 35-game turnaround for the San Antonio Spurs. I think still the record for biggest turnaround for a team that didn't suffer injuries the year prior, like major injuries, like the biggest turnaround ever. All right, Shaquille O'Neal rookie year for the Orlando Magic, 24 points, 23 points, I think it was, 14 rebounds, shot 56% from the floor, orchestrated a 20-game improvement for the Orlando Magic in 92-93. Okay, and I can go on and on and on. Wilt Chamberlain, rookie year, 38 points, 27 rebounds. Oscar Robertson, his rookie year, 30 points, over 30 points per game, over 10 rebounds per game, nearly 10 assists per game, nearly average a triple-double his fucking rookie year. Bill Russell, his rookie year, 14 points, led the NBA in rebounding at 19.6 rebounds per game, led the Boston Celtics his rookie year to an NBA championship. And of course, Michael Jordan, 28.2 points per game his rookie year, led the NBA in total points because Bernard King only played 55 games because that's the year he suffered that injury. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and led an 11-game improvement for the Chicago Bulls. And it's kind of hard for a guard to have the same impact as a center, especially back then. But he led an 11-game improvement for the Chicago Bulls. So to say that can he have the greatest rookie year in NBA history is like saying, is Donald Trump the richest man in the world? He's worth $3 billion, but it's some guys way richer than him. And it's kind of insulting to even bring up that argument. So with that historical perspective put in place, can Zion Williamson come close to what LeBron James did his rookie year? LeBron James, I think, averaged something like 20 points, maybe was it 7 rebounds and maybe 6 or 7 assists or something like that. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well his rookie year, but he's worked on his jumper, his shot selection since then. I think he shot like 42% his rookie year. But he had he brought hope to that franchise. You know what I'm saying? They weren't a playoff caliber team yet, but he brought excitement. He brought uh, energy to the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise that had been missing for a decade. Yeah, Terrell Brandon and those guys had some nice seasons, but those teams were boring as fuck. Let's be honest. Those teams under Mike Fratello were so fucking boring. That slow down fucking pace. I mean, and I love defense, but that fucking pace, my God, this team, oh man. Oh, oh. You know what I'm saying? So LeBron brought some excitement. And the proper question is, can Zion Williamson come anywhere close to what LeBron James did his rookie year? That's what we got to see. But in order for that to happen, Zion Williamson has to be healthy, and he's going to have to probably lose a little weight right now. He's going to have to lose at least, in my opinion, at least 10 pounds right now. And after that, we'll have to see. But tell me what you guys think.